Strip everything down to image, word, idea. Without narrative, it means nothing. This is MJ. I'm an author, I'm an artist, I'm an analyzer. Find all my work at mjmunoz.com. Right now, I have a quick little bit of news I want to talk about. The Tokusatsu cinematic universe that seems to be developed by Hideaki Anno, and I read two articles earlier, and now I'm introducing them. So I'm going to read them, I'm going to speculate and talk about them, and then I'm going to ask what you think about it at the end. So I'm going to be reading from the Shin Japan Heroes Universe website, the announcement, and this is a message from Hideaki Anno, dated February 15, 2022. Here it goes. SJHU is a project that was conceived in discussions with related companies from the idea that characters that are proud of Japanese culture can be put together in the form of collaboration and spread to the world for enjoyment. We needed a reason to start expanding beyond the world of work and content holders. It is a project that uses a common item called Shin as an expedient. Hideaki Anno is a project that considers a highly flexible development without binding existing popular characters with individual authorship. Originally, it is difficult to coordinate a project with such a wide variety of copyright sources, and the business benefits are not great. Therefore, it is a project that can only be done by cooperation between content holders who can prioritize fan service over business. In the future, the group of Shin will be removed, and it will become not only a hero, but also a character. And then it randomly says is. We hope that development of SJHU will please our fans as a new pleasure that transcends the boundaries of the character world. Thank you, anime/SFX fan Hideaki Anno. So, anime and tokusatsu fan Hideaki Anno. That is maybe an automatic translation. I do not know. Toho, the copyrights are at the bottom of the page read as the following. Toho, 2021 Shin Ultraman Production Committee, Tsubaraya Productions, Ishinomori Productions, Toei/2023 Shin Kamen Rider Production Committee, and then there's also, in addition to that, TTITK and Color. I didn't know you could have a company copyright name as Color. Anyway, so that's what that reads like straight from the English adaptation, or whatever you want to call it, on the website. That it's like a Google Translate, because I ran that one through Chrome. But over on Twitter, I am following the dude who's like the principal behind, or he seems like the principal behind putting forth all this American stuff for Tsubaraya Productions. I can't remember his name. I believe he's like a such and such Ramos. I'm going to go ahead and pull up his tweet so I can find the link to the article, because that's something important, I think. But anyway, before I do that, so the English translation was a little bit mangled there, and I did my best. I think what it was saying is that, hey, we had this idea to do this project where we, put everything out together, and it'll be really cool for the fans. And if we were just worrying about money, it would be very difficult to coordinate all our copyrights and such. And, like I said, it'd be difficult to do, but we're actually trying to set that aside and bring forth this this project for the fans. It's interesting, though, that he says it's for the fans, because, they do have an English option on the website, and I do think they are planning on making the website, or making the production for they're planning on making the production partially for a United States, or English-speaking audience, I should say. So that's interesting, and I find that, well, like I said, it's interesting, and I'm very interested to know what happened. I'm sorry, I'm trying to pull up right now. It was Variety.com, which, yeah, there we go. I got it. I just typed in VAR to my browser, and I found the link to it. So I'll go ahead and read that now. So this translation, I don't know. This is a statement that's being made through Variety.com. Excuse me. And it's in their film section. It's by Mark Schilling. And I'll just go ahead and read it now. So interrupting my own thoughts to share with you this part of the announcement. Godzilla, Ultraman, and Kamen Rider join forces in Shin Japan Heroes universe from rival studios and Anno Hideaki. Which I always thought it was Hideaki Anno, but whatever. It says, leading Japanese entertainment firms Toho, Toei, Studio Kara, and Tsubaraya Productions are joining forces to launch the Shin Japan Heroes universe, a project modeled on the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Shin Japan Heroes brings together iconic characters as Godzilla, Ultraman, and Kamen Rider, as well as the world of anime maestro Anno Hideaki's Evangelion sci-fi franchise. Details in Monday's announcement were scanty, but the project team has revealed an emblem, which is really nice looking, and visual showing off all four heroes, in quotes, together, as well as a website. A starting point for the project was Shin Godzilla. Translation, New Godzilla. The 2016 smash hit live-action film that Anno scripted and co-directed. It was followed by last year's hit anime Evangelion 3.0 plus 1.0 Thrice Upon a Time, which was also directed by Anno for his Studio Kara anime house as the fourth and final film in the rebuild of Evangelion film franchise, released in March of last year by Toho and Toei. It became the highest earning film of 2021 in Japan with total box office of $92 million. Also, slated for release on May 13, 2022 is Shin Ultraman, a live-action film based on the iconic Ultraman sci-fi show, or TV show, with Anno scripting and producing, and his Shin Godzilla co-director, Higuchi Shinji, directing. Toho will distribute. Finally, set for release in March of 2023 is Shin Kamen Rider, which Anno is scripting and directing. Toei is the distributor. A core company behind the project is Tsubaraya, the effects production house that has worked with both Toho for Godzilla and Toei, Ultraman, and Kamen Rider, which are ordinarily fierce rivals at the Japanese box office. The new project will also encompass merchandise, events, and other tie-ins derived from the Shin Japan Heroes universe concept. So, there's links where you can read more about Hideaki Anno, Godzilla, and Shin Japan Heroes universe, which doesn't make any sense because it's just the first announcement. Okay, those are just linking. It's for the links to be shared back and forth. So anyway, I think this is really interesting news. When I saw the thing, I threw out a quick thing on my TikTok saying like, "Hey, it looks like they're trying to do a MCU or a TCU, Tokusatsu cinematic universe with all these projects." And it's super interesting that Hideaki Anno has been involved with all of these Shin such and such projects, and I had no idea that, or I wonder if he's been like planning this for many years, what the genesis of this idea was. I mean, I get it. Godzilla, like the deeper I get into Tokusatsu, because I did start off with Power Rangers, then I found out that it was linked to Kamen Rider, mostly Masked Rider. Like the iconography of Masked Rider just like burned into my soul, and I recognized that suit so well. I found out that was Kamen Rider Black RX. I found out about Kamen Rider. Also on Adult Swim, I watched the Cyborg 009 and Kikaider adaptations, not in their entirety. Well, actually, that's not true. I watched Kikaider in its entirety. Oh man, I love Kikaider. And I watched some of Cyborg 009, but not all of it. But I recognized that the two had a similar visual style, and that they were both, ultimately I figured out that they were both based off of the work of Shotaro Ishinomori, because they're anime adaptations of his manga series. And then years later, maybe 6, 8, 10 years later, I found out about Kamen Rider. I kind of fell back into Power Rangers a little bit, and then that led me to looking for podcasts about it, because I love podcasts, and I found like No Pink Spandex and RRR, and I found out about upcoming Kamen Rider projects, and I just kind of went and Googled a bunch of stuff, and I found a bunch of also SJHU, Henshin Justice Unlimited. I found them too, and there was a bunch of stuff I really enjoyed, and I like digging more into it, but I was still like superhero time was my thing. So I was Kamen Rider and Super Sentai, and I probably watched Kamen Rider for like a decade on there every week as it came out, more or less. And Super Sentai, I was a little less faithful because I'm just not as into it as I am Rider. But then I watched Ultraman. I got into Ultraman actually through the Trigger, Gridman show, and then I found the Ultraman Z. That was coming back out, so I watched that. I missed its original airing, but I watched it, and I love Z. And I have like the first season of the original Ultraman because I think it's always good to start at the beginnings. But anyway, I've been thinking about Tokusatsu, and I know there's more than just the big two, or the big three, which would be Rider, Sentai, and Ultraman. But as I looked into Tokusatsu more, I realized, Godzilla kaiju stuff is actually technically like the earliest Tokusatsu, with like Gekko Kamen, Moonlight Mask being like the earliest, henshin hero that I can figure. That's what I've settled upon. He's the earliest henshin hero, and I think like Golden Bat is like the earliest like Japanese superhero. So, but Godzilla is like super formative in Tokusatsu, and like a big, like the granddaddy of Tokusatsu projects, and it just happens to be a movie. But anyway, so I've actually been thinking about doing this project where I wanted to like really dig in and focus on what the roots are of Tokusatsu. And at first I was like, yeah, I'll do Rider, Sentai, and Ultraman. I'll do something with those. And then I was like, no, Godzilla's really like the granddaddy. I gotta include Godzilla somehow. And then it just kind of struck me as funny that they're doing that. So I wonder what that's going to be. Maybe it'll just, like, honestly, here's what I would hope. Since they're talking about how it's going to be like the MCU, and the MCU abandons the source material, it just takes the lightest, touch from the source material. I kind of think that's what they should do. They should find something that's true to the spirit of all of these things. And I would honestly love to see somehow a project where the Evangelion stuff is interacting with Godzilla, which I didn't see Shin Godzilla, so I don't know how they could justify that. I know in my research on Godzilla recently that they had to retcon the original ending of Godzilla in order for there to be Godzilla sequels, like the Monster Island stuff and whatever. So it would be nice if they basically, and since Anno was involved with all of these, if he kind of planned things out in such a way where he could not have to retcon, but where he could have all four of these things existing in a united universe. And maybe, because there was that comment about the Shin moniker, or the Shin idea, like, going away. Okay, so my neighbor just popped over and talked to me, so I kind of forgot my point, and I don't know where I was going because I was saying something weird. But anyway, if the Shin part goes away, they have all the stuff though. It's SJHU, it's 4 heroes. It looks really good. The logo, they got to keep the Shin. But maybe what the implication is that if it's going to become like the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and instead be this Tokusatsu Cinematic Universe, but with a better name, which is Shin Japan Heroes Universe, then maybe what they do is they make it so that if there could be a Shin Godzilla sequel, they go ahead and make that. They make as many Shin Ultraman, as many Shin Kamen Rider, the Shin Evangelion is done. They make as many of those movies as they want, but then they can also have the freedom to have a totally separate continuity with these heroes all existing in a singular world, and that'll be the world of Shin Japan Heroes universe, or that'll be the Shin Japan Heroes universe, where they can all coexist, and maybe there's a story that'll be structured so that they can exist together in that universe and have it make sense. Because, would you have Evangelion fighting Godzilla? Would you have Ultraman fighting Godzilla? Would you have them all facing a force together? How can Kamen Rider compete with Ultraman or the others? I don't really know. It doesn't sound like there would be a practical way for that to happen. So maybe you have to do something else. But because these characters are so interesting and iconic, and they have such a history, maybe you can create a whole new universe. And actually, to kind of backpedal, the Ultraman, I think it's 2011 manga project, which has the Netflix adaptation of the CGI animated series done with a bunch of motion capture. It has there's at least 3 Ultramen, and there's Bemular, and they're all human-sized. I don't think they ever grow gigantic in the show, but you could kind of do that. We've got this whole new universe. You scale down Ultraman, or not Ultraman. You scale down Godzilla, and maybe have him be the giant thing. Maybe have the Evangelion thing be giant as well, but you could have a smaller Ultraman and Kamen Rider. I don't know. There's tons of different things they can do with this, but I think it's really cool. I think it's really neat. It's interesting to me that kind of like how the MCU had, I don't know, 70 years or so of Marvel history to draw from. The Henshin, not the Henshin boom. I always say that. The Marvel Comics boom happened in 62, the Fantastic Four, and it grew on from there. And the first MCU film was, I'm going to say, I think the Iron Man movie was like 2005, 2006. That's a lot of time. Is that only about 40 years? No, that's impossible. Yeah, because the company is older than that, and the character is older. Like, Cap's 41 is... Okay, whatever. Still, decades and decades of history. So, Super Sentai is in its 35th year, Kamen Rider, or 45th year, Kamen Rider's in its 55th year, and that must mean Ultraman's what, 5 years? It's like 60 years, I think. Is that right? It started in 62? I think it started in 66, because it's like 6 years before Kamen Rider, and the original Rider aired in 71, I think like 71, 72, and 73. Anyway, but it's interesting, and I really do think they could probably come up with some great ideas where they put them all in their own universe, but then they can have it be, look, here's Shin Ultraman's universe, here's Shin Kamen Rider's universe. Like I said before, I don't want to belabor the point. Each of them can have their own universe, then they can have a shared universe where they do different things together, and they don't need to affect the continuity in either one. And that could be really interesting, really compelling. And I'm wondering how much they're going to bring it into the West, because I've seen some criticism of the way Toei is bringing Kamen Rider over and the way Toei is doing a lot of stuff. And I don't necessarily have criticism for Toei and how they're handling the adaptations and such, and like, Team Kamen Rider or whatever with Bluefin, but, and Tokushoutsu and all that stuff. But I really admire how classy Tsubaraya Productions is. Even though, like, for my taste, like some of the trigger stuff from Gridman, like the girls are too fan servicey and it's too trashy for me, just based on the fan service. But like the story is fabulous and the presentation of it is really wonderful. And the way Ultraman Z was localized and put out on YouTube, and I don't know if they've pulled it down now, but like they do this like thing where they kind of roll releases, like, hey, we're gonna put it up for a certain amount of time and you can watch it, but then you can go buy our stuff too. And they advertise for their own content within their shows. And it just, the way Tsubaraya handles everything is really classy, really sophisticated, and very mature. Whereas Rider's like a little more rowdy, or what Toei's doing with their promotions of Kamen Rider coming to the US. It feels a little more rowdy, but like not cool. Like it's trying to be cool. Versus Tsubaraya, which just seems like, yeah, this is it. This is who we are. This is what we do. Enjoy. It's good stuff. And like I said, I'm a Kamen Rider fan, and I kind of like Ultraman. I'm an Ultraman noob, but I'm getting into it. But anyway, that I don't know how much more I have to say, how much more I can be constructive, and I think I'm going to leave it there for now. So what do you think about all that news? Are you a fan of one or all of those, I guess, franchises, I'll call them? And, are you a fan because of the effects? Or are you a fan because you like the stories and they mean something to you? And how can it be that with like the original Godzilla having a very solid ending, the original Evangelion having an extremely solid ending, and by solid I mean you can't get past it to make a sequel, versus like Ultraman and Kamen Rider, there's been sequels for decades, and you can keep doing it. How do you think they're going to solve that problem? What do you think they're going to do to make all these characters be in a cinematic universe together? I'd like to know what you think, and I'd like to know if you're excited about this or if you think it's just dumb and a waste of time and money and energy, and if they should just be developing something totally brand new, because I hadn't even thought about that until now. Anyway, check out all my stuff at mgmunoz.com. I have the author, analyzer, and artist tabs or menus at the top of the website, and you can find all my analysis of stuff, all my artwork, and all of my writing. I've got short stories, I've got poems, I've got a bunch of stuff up there, so go ahead and check that out. And help things keep going over here from the MJ Munoz studios by spreading the word and sharing this and letting more people know about it. Check out my TikTok and all the other stuff I do. So anyway, shh, quiet child. Anyway, I leave you with peace and blessings. This is MJ signing out.